Carry on, mate.
Hey team, okay, welcome back to another episode of the Instagram, not the Instagram, the Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course the YouTube Live. We are just jumping on with a new guest that we have on tonight, very, very special guest as well, and we'll get into exactly why he is so special in just a second. For those of you who have joined us before, you know who I am. For those of you who haven't, my name is Simon. I'm the director of PracMed NZ, a first aid company which focuses on the reality of first aid and training within New Zealand through products, services, and of course that training once again. Tonight we've got a very, very special guest, as I mentioned, and there's a reason why tonight's guest is so special. As opposed to the other guests which we've had on board already. We've got guys who have, gone through, talked about tourniquets, burns, different decision-making processes and all that good stuff. And it's always been a focus as the responder. But tonight is a different podcast or a different vidcast, whatever you want to call it, because tonight we're going to focus on the reality as a survivor. And just to let you guys know as well, this is obviously being delivered, or the reason why we're delivering this is in anticipation of World Restart a Heart Day, which is October the 16th. Being a Saturday, we didn't want to jump all over that. So today we're getting in a little bit early. So thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, we'll get into it. Anyway, without further ado, Tem, introduce yourself, say hello to everybody, and kind of what's a little bit of background. Where did things start for Tem Wilson?
Kia ora, Simon, and thanks for having me. And hello to all you folk out there that are tuned in and watching today. So I guess my life. Well, I was born in Auckland back in '77 and adopted out to my grandparents from more or less birth. I've lived right across the both islands, from Invercargill to Auckland and halfway back and then back again. Attended about 11 primary schools and colleges along the way, and still done pretty well for myself out of that. So I guess I left school when I was about 15. Decided I was going to be the man and go into the workforce, which I found out the hard way that it's not actually, it wasn't as cracked up as it was meant to be, but I've managed to get far enough in life, I've had numerous jobs throughout my life. I have been farming, dairy farming, beef farming, a little bit of sheep stuff, forestry working, security guard, truck driving, soldiering, landscaping, environmental control, soldering. Mate, the list goes on. I don't want it to continue going on, and I'm grateful and thankful I've made it past my event to be here to keep cracking on.
Yeah, 100%. And this is obviously something that we're going to be talking about tonight, is from your perspective and stuff like that. As we go through this, is your experience, and this is the whole reason why you're here. So for those of you out there who didn't quite catch on to kind of with what Tim was just saying, this is how we know each other. Is from the military back in the day. Served both together with the mighty 1st Battalion Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment. Awesome time. Subsequently got out and obviously kind of went our separate paths. Either way, he's here. He's going to discuss what he's been through. It is an incredible story. There is no doubt about it. And it's something that for the listeners, for the viewers out there, is very, very, very important as well. Whether you've got medical experience, maybe none at all, it's a perspective, quite a unique perspective of somebody who has been through something extraordinary and come out the other side. To dive straight into it, what we're going to go through and do very, very quickly is I just want to make a couple of acknowledgements and also say thank you very much First of all, I just want to go through and it's a bit of a shameless plug here. I think it's very, very worthy, especially with World Restart the Heart Day coming up very, very soon. October the 16th, of course, is plugging the Aed Locations app. Now, for those of you who don't have this application installed on your mobile, please do it now. This costs nothing. It doesn't steal your information, doesn't track you or anything like that. Obviously, suss your settings out if you want to do that, but get that app in on your phone, okay? That thing is absolutely amazing. It takes way less time to go through and check that than it does, obviously, checking your Twitter or checking your Facebook or Instagram or whatever else. And knowing where an AED is just such a huge contributing factor to the success rates of resuscitation and witness cardiac arrest or out-of-hospital cardiac arrest rates. So please do that. Obviously, Aed Locations applications there as well. I just want to make a shameless plug again through to PracMed NZ's YouTube channel. Now you can see this one here. Tim just realized we had this. So for those of you who don't know that we have a YouTube channel, please jump across and subscribe. Obviously, I think it unlocks like hidden features or something as you get more subscribers. And that would be awesome. 54 is nothing to boast about, but you've got to start somewhere. We have all the content that we record here, all the content that we do live gets recorded and obviously stays on the YouTube for reference. And also, I just want to plug as well, if you want to go through, learn a little bit about, or maybe get some more information on the in-depth process of cardiac arrest, heart attack, and all the rest of it, there's an episode there which is called Decision Making Process with Steve O. He's a trainer with PracMed NZ. He's also a former military medic, contractor. He's a nurse and a paramedic. It's quite a mouthful to remember. Know your people. But yeah, he goes through and we discuss that. It's a really, really good episode. So jump headfirst into that. Okay. Awesome bit of kit. So what we're going to talk about now very, very quickly, and we're only going to kind of run over this briefly. For those of you out there who don't know what the difference is between a heart attack and a sudden cardiac arrest, because they are very different things, one can cause the other. We just need to explain that very quickly, because what we don't want people doing is jumping in and going, oh, this guy had a heart attack, or, just getting a bit of a misconception or a misunderstanding between what they are. So, and again, very brief, the difference between the two is that you have cardiac arrest or sudden cardiac arrest, which is essentially an electrical issue. And what this means is that the heart stops performing as it typically would and no longer pumps blood around the body. A failure of pumping blood around the body obviously causes a loss of consciousness very, very quickly within seconds afterward, and that is very problematic. Sudden cardiac arrest actually affects a lot of different people. It doesn't just select, or doesn't just kind of it's not biased towards people who are overweight or have terrible diets, or don't exercise or anything else like that. Sudden cardiac arrest can literally happen to anybody, and there's a lot of documentation, there's a lot of evidence behind that. It's just that people just kind of seem to not really pay attention to it. And then, of course, as you look at the screen, as I look at it on my right-hand side, you see here there is heart attack. Now, heart attack is something which can be a precursor to cardiac arrest. And what this is basically a plumbing problem. So think about an electrical issue with cardiac arrest, circulation problem, or plumbing problem with heart attack. And that is when we start to get buildups of fatty deposits, plaque, etc., on the inside of our blood vessels, causing restriction through to either the heart muscle itself, or, of course, the flow of blood through into the heart. And that can cause a massive irregular heartbeat and eventually, of course, cardiac arrest. So tonight, what we're going to talk about and get a really unique perspective on as well is exactly that, is of course, the heart attack. Because Tim has actually gone through and had a heart attack. He is here, and tonight we're going to get into the deep kind of nitty-gritty of kind of how this has all worked. So when we look at the contributing factors of heart attack, not cardiac arrest, as in sudden cardiac arrest, but heart attack, what we look at here is obviously a lot of it is diet and lifestyle based. Now, I remember years ago, and apologies, I can't find the reference for this, but I remember years ago seeing a graph which was out there, and it was a kind of like a life expectancy chart. And it was of people, of males and females, obviously, when blokes get to around about that 38 to kind of 42, 45, there's like this weird kind of hump. And that is indicative of, when they are having a lot more cardiac issues than any other time in their life. And it's kind of, it's kind of strange. Now, I remember, being told about this and having some instruction on this, being told that it was due to the fact that a lot of people, what the kind of theory was, that it was due to sedentary lifestyle, it was due to poor diet. In your teens and your 20s, a lot of guys are very mobile, very active, always playing sports, all that kind of stuff. And then as kind of things go on, they still eat like they're 20, they still drink like they're 20, they're just not exercising like they're 20 anymore. And this is something I think in New Zealand that a lot of us are very, very guilty of, and definitely is a contributing factor. Exercise, lack of exercise, poor diet, they're two huge things. Sleep cycling as well, and of course stress. Now, stress right now for a lot of people is obviously going to be a massive thing with the COVID and stuff like that, particularly up in Auckland. So a bit of a shout out to everybody who's affected up there in particular. You guys are doing it tough, man. Just keep on stomping in that sense. But for Tem, I guess we need to talk about what you went through. What kind of factors, or what things do you think were going through, or what things do you think were affecting your lifestyle, or affected or contributed to what you experienced with your heart attack?
Well, I guess, Simon, let's go back to the day, and then we'll come back to that, because there was quite a lot of contributing factors building up to that from probably a year or year and a half ahead.
Yep.
So December the 24th, 2019, Christmas Eve, I just filled up my car, and I was going to go spend Christmas with some friends in Ashburton, because I was currently living in Dunedin. I had plans on coming back out to the Wairarapa to spend Christmas with the family, but I was just too fucked. I was exhausted. My body was exhausted, and it had been for a whole year prior. So this is one of the contributing factors building up to it. So December the 24th, around about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I just finished filling up my car, and I was about to head away to Ashburton, and I felt this real sharp pain in the back of my shoulder. It was painful. I've had similar on the other side, but not as painful as this. And I was driving up the road, and I sort of pulled over. I pulled off the road and stopped. I thought, this ain't right. And I felt my arm. When they take your blood pressure and they put that band around your arm, my whole arm felt like that was under one of those, getting pumped the shit out of. And it felt like someone was standing on my side of my body trying to rip my fucking arm off. It was really painful. So I decided, something was telling me to go home. So instead of carrying on my journey, I decided to go home to my flat, and it happened again on the way. So I went home, unpacked my car, and just sat there and reflected for a little bit of what's just happened, what's going on. I decided to, for some reason, lay on my bed and put my feet in the air against the wall and call the 0800 Healthline. I got in touch with those people. They told me I needed to get down to the ED. So that's what I've done. They got me an ambulance there.
I think that was probably some of the best advice that you could have ever been given at this point in time. Now, yeah. I mean, you've done first aid courses over the years, right? I mean, you've worked in the electrical issue, you've been in the industry, you've been in the military, you've done rigging, you've done all these bits and pieces. Did none of these things kind of stick out to you and say, hey, dude, might actually be having a heart attack? I mean,
well, after some reflecting, and I spoke to them, because I'd been under a lot of stress prior the year before, so things weren't actually ticking over well up here to start with anyway.
With you.
And I was just running on autopilot, I guess. But yeah, when I got there, I sort of realised what had gone on and what was happening. Well, between then and getting there, I realised what was happening. So I went down into ED, down in Dunedin Hospital, who were very quick to jump on top of it. They had me up in the theatre within 20 minutes of being there, because it happened again in the ED department. and went up to the surgery room, and the surgeon installed 3 stents in my arteries in the joint. As per your picture there, where it was blocked, I had to have one installed each side and one main one going in. So that took him about, I was out of there within an hour and back into the ward, feeling like $1,000. Feeling like I could go and run an RFL again. But I was feeling like that for about 3 days because I guess all this new blood pumping through my system.
Yeah, I'm going to take a while. Probably because of the supply of blood through to your heart was actually getting to where it needed to go, and obviously subsequently having the ability to push blood properly through the rest of your body as well. And this is something that a lot of people just, I don't know whether it's they just can't comprehend it or what the story is, but that pump is such an important piece of me. It drives blood around your entire body. So if your pump isn't functioning properly, like you said, and I think that's a really, really good point that you just made there as well. The stress would have been certainly a contributing factor, but the fact that your body was not actually pushing oxygenated blood around, particularly into your brain, is obviously not going to have you making the decisions that you typically ordinarily would have. So that's a really, really important thing to note there, man. So yeah, so that's crazy. Okay, so there's a bunch of signs and symptoms in there. Feeling like you had blood pressure cuff around your arm, absolutely, maxing out and sitting on there, and a crushing sensation on that chest as well. I mean, these things are just so typical. And it's important to acknowledge as well that, these can actually vary between males and females, and obviously different people as well. Some people feel different things, like a taste of tinfoil in their mouth. They'll complain of shortness of breath. There's a whole bunch of different things. Left arm or left side of the body is typically affected, through the neural pathways on that side of the body, but not always. So these are just different things. And what you described there was just it's just super, super intense, man. So I mean, on a scale out of 10, where would you put it in terms of like the pain, in terms of like the feeling? Did you have any kind of sense of impending doom or like anything like that?
It was the most excruciating pain I've felt ever. It's something I never want to experience again. And if it does happen, if you do interviews out there listening, have anything like that, act on it straight away, because it's telling you there's something not right. And don't sit around thinking, just call an ambulance or get yourself to the ED or get to where you need to go to, or get someone to get you there, because it could happen just in a blink of an eye. I've had friends, colleagues in the past just drop dead, not in front of my eyes, but talking to the guys in the teams, just carrying on during their day, doing what they do. Next minute, boom, gone. Yeah. It's pretty crazy, eh? I mean, from a statistical point of view, and we have a lot of anecdotes come through the door during our training sessions of people passing away, early in the morning, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And a lot of that comes down to dehydration. And when we look at it from a perspective of going through and looking at why this is actually happening, if you think about the plumbing issue, which is already there with regards to these deposits, which are already built up within your blood vessels, and then obviously, as you dehydrate, the blood starts to thicken. It's the fluid portion is starting to decrease. It becomes more difficult to obviously push through the body, and that obviously puts massive strain onto the heart and eventuates into arrest. Those things are definitely there. I mean, people just dropping in the yard and stuff like that. Personally, I refuse to accept that. There is always an opportunity to try and work on somebody. Sometimes, obviously it doesn't work, but we need to be, I think as New Zealanders, we're going to cover this in a bit anyway, but I think we need to do better. Going through at the moment, and this is part of the reason why we exist, the syllabus just isn't up to scratch. We need to jump on top of that and get that squared away. So when we talk about the lead up to the heart attack and stuff like that, I remember talking to you before this actually happened, and you said there was a number of things which came through or happened, and obviously you think you may have actually experienced a number of heart attacks before this kind of big one hit in 2019 on Christmas Eve. Yeah, so Simon, after I had that heart attack, I've been reflecting over the last 12 months a lot. Well, since the first couple of months was, how did this happen? Why did it happen? And when I look back, it was all speaking to me, and it was there for the whole year. But I was so focused on my work and other things that I wasn't picking up on all these issues. But yeah, thinking back now, I've actually had. I don't think that was the first time I've had a heart attack. To be honest, I think I've had a number of them prior through my life. Looking back at what happened, I've actually had a few of them since I was probably at the age of, what was I when we were in battalion, must have been at least 27, 28. And I know one time when the boys and I were heading out to camp, I had some issues where I thought everything just locked up, and we just carried on tough as nails. I didn't really tell him what had happened. He just asked, "You all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. Let's get to work. We've got a job to do, mate." You know, instead of going to the doctors, and I've had a number of them through years, which is very similar, but not as painful as that. So it makes me think that even back then I was really quite fit and healthy as well. It could have something to do with my genetics as well. But the last recent one I have had was down to poor diet, lack of exercise, all those types of things, stress, and it all just built up over a period of a year. So the 12 months before I had the heart attack, I was very fatigued all the time. I was under a lot of stress. I started not looking after myself. I started not exercising as much. And it all came from a stressful place I was in, and it just slowly all built up. So I'm pretty grateful to be here today, and all the support people that have been around me since, and through it all, including my employers and friends and family. So it was a pretty rough ride. It definitely opened my eyes up to how fit and how good I had been, to what I had become, to looking back and thinking, well, I've really got to sort this out because it's only me who can do it. No one else can do it for you.
Some absolute ownership of the situation that you're in and stuff like that, and that's commendable, man. And I think you've nailed a couple of really, really good points here. I just want to jump on them really quickly. The first one is, we have this weird kind of like, I don't know what it is. What could you call it? Like almost like this wannabe microaggression here in NZ, where we just think we're just too tough to stop or whatever else. Man, you got to listen to the body. The analogy that I use in all of my classes is that you're nothing more than an engine or a motor. You go through, you run. If you don't get your engine service, if you don't service your vehicle, it's going to break down, man. It's going to run out of oil. It's going to friggin', blow itself up. It's just going to not work. And that's exactly what happens to people's bodies. So I think that's a really, really, really good point that you jumped on there. The other one is going through and, looking at the way that a lot of people live in terms of the lifestyle, the diet, the stress, all the rest of it. There is these instant gratifications that people jump on board with. It's really easy to eat crappy food and, just get drunk all the time and stuff like that. It gives people that sense of instant gratification, that sugar hit, whatever else, which gives them that little rush, that little thing that they've got going on there. Whereas if they spent that time, if they said, you know what, today is the day that I'm just going to start doing, some exercise, whatever that may be, even just getting out there and walking a few kilometers or doing what else, I just think that is such an important thing. So thank you for bringing that up. Now, I just want to talk very, very quickly, or if you don't mind, about the actual medical intervention. So from in your own words, and in terms of you understand, talk us through what exactly happened when you got to hospital and stuff like that, and what they actually did.
So once I presented in there, they took me through to the to get an X-ray, and then once I came out of there, I had another event. I was actually standing in the middle of ED trying to stretch my arm because that's what was helping take the pain away. And I told them, I said, hey, it's happening again. So they laid me down on the bed. They tore my top off and applied the defibrillator. And the gentleman sat down beside me and we spoke for a little bit. The surgeon came through and explained that I'm having cardiac issues, which we sort of already knew. And he explained the procedure of what he was going to do, installing the stents. So, look, it was really quick. It all happened really quick, like it was a dream from the get-go. I ended up being taken upstairs into the surgery room. He explained to me that he's going to go up through my wrist, and he had a big 70-inch TV screen here, so I could watch all this going on. He pumped some dye through so he could see where he was going, and then he started the procedure of installing a couple of stents. And I guess I was on a bit of morphine, but it was an interesting thing to do. Sit there and watch someone installing something inside your body on a TV screen while he's working. And the questions I had for him were soon quelled by him because he had something more important to do than talk to me and answer my questions. However, I guess in that kind of situation, you don't want to be getting disrupted by someone.
100%. And was the feeling of relief almost instantaneous when he pushed the stents through and obviously opened it up? For those of you, there are some really maybe I should have jumped on a video and got it up on here beforehand, but the process of obviously stenting, going through and putting that in, there's a lot of videos on the YouTube and stuff like that you can have a look at. Maybe we'll put one up after this, I don't know, but it's a fascinating, really incredible process of having that happen and go through. Did you remember feeling like, obviously you weren't under, they had you on the morphine and whatnot. Do you remember like feeling or acknowledging when they obviously opened the stents?
I remember it quite well because it felt like I felt instantly great because the blood was flowing. The blood just started flowing again. You know what I mean?
Back to life.
It was like I didn't need the morphine now. I'm good to go.
Man, that is really
but
cool.
It was it was actually a really awesome feeling to be able to. It felt like well, how can you explain it? It felt really good. You know. My mind, my body could feel it. My body could feel the blood was flowing again, and it just wanted to fucking go and do an RFL or something outrageous like that, you know.
It's hard.
And that's how I felt. I just wanted to get back in the world, but obviously, I had to stay in for about another 4 days to be monitored. And but those 4 days were the best I've felt in many years, many years.
I've got to ask you, man, what did they give you for Christmas? Did they give you decent food? Like they give you ham and stuff, or did they put you on like a strict diet?
Well, I'm also gluten sensitive, so I didn't really get nothing, mate. I got the stock standard stuff, and that was about it.
Oh man,
it was just one of those occasions.
I get it, man. You know, I'm sure you've been through worse. You know, being into military, having to eat ORP and all the rest of it, and whatnot. You know, operational rat pack. I don't think there's probably just about anything worse than that, except for eating absolutely nothing at all for days and days. But man, that's absolutely crazy. And obviously, I haven't spoken to you in depth about the actual procedure or anything like that. So that's really fascinating. And just for the people who are watching and listening in out there, if you guys have any questions, anything like that, just drop us a comment in. If you want to know anything, just drop us a comment in. And if it's related to this, then we'll answer it tonight as best as we can as well. So yeah, man, that's absolutely hectic. So you've gone through, you've had the stent put inside of your leg. inside of your wrist. It's gone through. They've obviously opened you up. Blood's flowing back through and stuff like that. Let's talk a little around the recovery and what impact has this had, good, bad, or halfway in between, on your life moving forward.
Okay, so the recovery. The day I walked out of the hospital, because I just brought a brand new packet of cigarettes just before the heart attack, and I didn't even have one. So when I walked out, that went straight in the bin. I'd been in hospital 3 or 4 days, so I'd gotten back into used to eating proper food, because being a single guy in Dunedin, many restaurants and bars, what do you do? It's cheaper to go out, mate. I started going to the Heart Foundation seminars, physiotherapy, light exercising. Everything changed. I just stopped eating anything with sugar, raw sugar, sugary drinks, sugary stuff, salt, all those things that are bad for your heart and cholesterol. I sort of went on this. I'm not going to eat any of that crap, Buzz, because that's what just about killed me. So take heed from the gods above, and do something about it yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. Support system is only as good as you start doing things correctly for yourself as well.
Definitely. I think going through and eliminating a lot of that stuff out of your diet is so important. I mean, when you look at a packet, when you look at a bunch of different things, like in a supermarket, go through and look at the list of ingredients on it. I mean, how is it that sausages have 47 different ingredients in them? When it says ham sausage, you got a regular ham sausage, you pick it up, or bacon sausage or whatever it may be. I don't know. I don't eat that stuff. I go and get my stuff from Nature Supermarket out in the bush. But, when you look at that and it has 47 different ingredients or what have you, just an example, how is that a thing, man? What are we actually putting inside ourselves? So I think that's a massive contributor. The sugar thing for sure, definitely. You mentioned now the Heart Foundation seminars and stuff. Now I personally have never been to one of these things or anything like that. Can you talk us through a little bit about that? Maybe give them a plug of some description. What is it? How does it work? And what impact did that have with you?
So the Heart Foundation is an organisation that assist people that have had cardiac and heart problems. Obviously, I got a phone call to attend an appointment with a young lady there, and asked if I'd like to go and see them once a week, every Thursday, to listen to speakers for about an hour to 40 minutes. So these were specialist surgeons, doctors, nurses, and they every once a week they just took you through something to do with your heart and signs and symptoms prior, what happens at what's experiences that have happened as to why you've ended up like that, and recovery and the things you need to know and need to learn about the recovery, because the recovery is the hardest part. Even though you're feeling like $1,000, your mind wants to go and do that RFL, but your body's not even going to let you walk 5 minutes down the street before you're going to go and have a sleep.
Yeah, wow.
And when they talk about slowing down and listening to your body, it's really important that you need to do that, because I'll tell you what, driving a car, you would not understand how stressful it is and how focused you have to be just to drive a car until you've had a heart attack, because you've just grown naturally into doing it and you've learned how to drive. But once you've had a heart attack, you realise that you've got to focus on all the hazards down the side of the road, on the road, the vehicle you're driving, how you're driving it, people coming towards you. You've got to really break it down, and actually focusing on all of that is really quite stressful. But you won't understand. You won't understand until you've had something like this happen, because I remember it took me a couple of months before I started driving, and just to drive down the road and come back, I'd be asleep within 10 minutes because I'm just so tired. And anything you do, it's just about resting after you've had the event, eh? Resting, eating well, and like you say, going for those little walks. You don't have to go for a 10-kilometre walk. You just go for a 10-minute walk around the block just to keep things moving and to slowly build your cardio back up, because that's what it's all about. You've just had your superhero freaking superpowers taken off you, and now you've got to start building them up from scratch. And that is right back down to, oh mate, I started back up swimming. I walked into the gym. I actually saw one of the brothers in there from the Italian. I walked into the gym. I thought I'd pick up a 12 kg dumbbell and pull out 20 of those. I got to about 6. I was highly disgusted with myself, but that was just that was it, mate. The body said, no, you're not doing nothing. You're not actually doing anything. You're going to walk and look after yourself.
I've got to jump in there real quick, man, and just say thank you for your raw honesty about this. And the reason why I say this as well is that for me, I've never heard about the Heart Foundation seminars or anything like that. It sounds like an absolutely fantastic initiative and something that I think, is great that it's being offered out there and stuff like that to everybody. But for those people who maybe haven't had the opportunity or didn't go through and engage with this stuff and whatnot, I think after any kind of event, which is life-changing, and this certainly is, there is always a period of, what is the new normal? What is the left and the right of arc and stuff like that? And to hear this kind of stuff from yourself is just awesome, man. In terms of going through understanding, what your experience was, very, very raw as well, from a sense of having this happen, and the fatigue and all the rest of it is just massive, man. I just want to give a shout out as well. We've got a few people who have jumped in on the comments. If you're watching and you've got a question for myself or team on this topic, then please do ask. But yeah, cheers, Dan, Sean, and Brandon. Particularly Brandon's just jumped in there and mentioned as well. He's giving you a shout out, Tim. I don't know if you can see that. It is easy to say that you can cut out sugar, etc. It takes a major effort to actually do it. Greatest respect for turning it around, Tim. And I completely echo that as well. I think sugar is one of these things that if we knew about how diabolically bad it was for the body now, we just simply it would probably be banned. It would be like a freaking Class C drug, maybe. I don't know, but either way, we certainly wouldn't be putting it, pumping it through the body. Not to mention a lot of other things. So I mean, that's absolutely insane. Everything that
thanks, Brandon. And I'll tell you this: since I've cut out salt and sugar, I've lost about 13 to 15 kgs since. And that's just cutting out those things in life and drinking more water.
Awesome. I mean, that's just. I
was 130 kgs, mate.
I can heat.
I became so I was a distribution line mechanic who builds power poles for the county for about 15 years. And my job, I'd worked my way up the ladder and ended up sitting in an office being a supervisor. So this is how all this came about. Went from being highly active to sedentary. And like you say, Simon, when you're 20, you're moving around, you're fit as hell, you're doing everything. And as you get older, you stop doing those things, but you still keep eating, drinking, and doing the same things as if you were young. But yeah, no, thanks for that, Brandon. It is hard. It's really hard, and sometimes you trip up, but you just got to keep hacking at it, eh?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, man. I think it just is literally a conscious decision. I've had to make some massive changes to my lifestyle and diet, as well as things have gone on as the years have gone on. And I think that's largely thanks to, maybe abusing, the body when we're a bit younger and stuff like that. But I make no excuses. That's completely on us. So yeah, it is what it is, man. Hey, very, very quickly, man, we're just going to go through now. I think we've talked about the prevention, all the rest of it, and whatnot. I think being pragmatic in the sense of getting the exercise done, making a plan, going out, getting it sussed, not just, signing up to a gym membership, but literally getting you kind of thing squared away and going through. There is some awesome people out there who are running these kind of things. A number of other veteran-owned businesses out there as well. Maybe I'll go ahead and just list them up and do a plug, because there's no one size fits all after this. And these guys go through that. We focus a lot on the calisthenics, using your own body weight. So it's perfect for people who are still stuck at home and whatnot, and all that good stuff. But right now, I just want to go through, and I just want to do another shout out as well, of course, through to Aed Locations. For those of you who are watching, please jump on, please download that app. It is available on iOS. It's available on Android and whatnot. And it basically goes through and shows you where the AEDs are. This is obviously for the cardiac arrest. This is for people who fall over and have an event out there. If you witness this kind of thing, you need to be prepared to step up, stand up, and start working. This is what we teach. This is what we preach. We are creating more and more, and I mean this weekly, we're creating more and more people who are willing to respond and be the difference instead of simply be a bystander or a witness and sit there and just observe somebody pass away. That is not acceptable, not on our watch. And, for too long, compliance has just been the name of the game, ticking boxes, going through, just accepting a status quo, taking people's money. I just can't get over it, how poor the standard of training is generally within this country. We need that to change. It's that simple. You are the difference. You people out there who are listening, you people who are watching, you are the difference. When an ambulance takes 8 to 12 minutes to respond in an urban environment, which is how long it does take, that is a very long time for the brain to be without oxygen. So for those of you who are listening out there, be prepared to be that difference, okay? Please get in, please train. Like I said before, the YouTube channel, we've got a whole chat about making decisions under stressful situation. Get amongst and do it. Tim, I think that's pretty much all we've got for tonight. We're just coming up on 45 minutes as well. Mate, thank you so much for coming through, telling us your story, sharing some really personal stuff with us and whatnot. Is there anything that you'd like to kind of jump on and close out with?
I'd just like to big thanks to you, mate, for helping me get this out, putting it out there for other people who don't know and don't understand. It's okay if you don't feel okay, and go and get some help. Even, ask your family, talk to someone, work, anyone. It's a hard thing for guys to do, as I've experienced over the years, but I've realised now it's time that you have to go and do something about it. Don't worry about all this tough guy stuff, because you won't be so tough when you're getting lowered 6 feet under by 6 of your mates, eh? But yeah, look after yourself. Take time out for yourself is the big one, I think. You take time out for yourself, take those holidays, take those breaks, de-stress, love your family, look after your mates, and thanks to everyone that supported me, I guess. Family, friends, colleagues, yourself, a number of other ex-battalion brothers, all on the other end of the phone, mate. So it's really good. But I appreciate bringing me on tonight, Simon. It's real good.
No, thank you, man. I mean, the pleasure is completely all ours. It's been amazing to have you here. I know a number of people who have succumbed to cardiac events and incidents and stuff like that. And the reality is that, I mean, sometimes there is no chance of survival. But for you, man, you got a second chance. It is so cool to hear that you're going through and doing something with that. Just absolutely amazing. And to hear, what you're doing in terms of really just giving 100% to diving in and looking after, what you can with that. So absolutely epic. Keep drinking the water, keep exercising, watch your diet. I'm going to go ahead and maybe chuck up some bits and pieces in terms of different outfits that maybe you want to follow, jump on and go through and get involved with after this. But the Aed Locations app, you can see that just down the bottom of the screen there. Jump on and download that. Like I said, easier to check than your Facebook or Twitter or whatever else. Helps build a bit of a family plan as well. If somebody has an event in your house, around 80% or over 80% of events typically happen in those small hours of the morning. Know where the nearest AED is. Look after yourselves out there, team. Okay, we're going to be back on next month with another guest. We've got a really exciting topic next month as well. Back into business, but for today, thank you to everybody who's joined on board. You guys are legends. Please as well, if you haven't already, feel free to jump on, subscribe to the YouTube channel there as well. All of our stuff is there. Thank you to the people who have commented, asked questions, had input, all the rest of it, showing us love and continue to do so. Stay safe out there in New Zealand. Look after yourselves, but remember, trauma and, in this case today, cardiac arrest / heart attacks sleeps for nobody. Semper paratus. Always ready. Take it easy, New Zealand. Look after yourself.